doesn't matter how many times you speak and how many different people you speak to. There's always a sense of nervousness when you get up on stage, which I think is exciting. For me, my journey started 21 years ago when I was really ill. I had spent a year and a half of my life in and out of the hospital on some really serious drugs. I got them for free, which was a nice thing. But I was stoned for a year and a half of my life, not knowing what was wrong with me and not knowing what I was going to do. And through this journey, I ended up being in the hospital for 10 days, having to give up my job, competitive hockey, and a point where my life was debilitated. And they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. And halfway through this process, I was lying in the bed, just about ready to die. So when you get to that point in life where you feel like you're dying, it's actually an awakening place. You start to understand and see the world a little bit differently. And through this process, they actually couldn't figure out what was wrong with me until an intern at the hospital decided they should send me to a gastroenterologist, which I had no idea what that was until they sent me to one. He ran a bunch of tests. No, they're not so fun. Don't ever go see a gastroenterologist. They say colonoscopy run. And then they decided they were going to take out my intestines and give me a colostomy bag, which, again, I had no idea what that was until they told me. And I said, absolutely not. And they said, well, if you don't have the surgery, you're going to die. And I said, well, I'm already dying. I'd rather die with my insides than with a bag. But in that moment, your life does truly flash before your eyes. And one of the first thoughts that went through my mind was, how the hell am I going to get a date with a colostomy bag? When you're at that age, those are the kind of things you think about. Then I thought about hockey and everything else. So I didn't do it. I went home and I called a friend of mine that I used to make a lot of fun of for years. He lived this organic, vegan sort of life. And he's always preaching this idea of our body and the wholeness of it and the connectedness to everything. And I always thought he was crazy, even though he was a good friend of mine. He was the first person I called, and he introduced me to his sister, who was a naturopath, who introduced me to John Robbins. John Robbins saved my life 21 years ago. He is my guru, the guy who's mentored me for 20 years and taught me so much about myself. Because that's what this journey's been. It's been about learning about myself so I can help the rest of the world. Because that's what this is all about for all of us, is how do we connect to the world? And we do it through three things. We eat, we think, and we act. And that's what this is all about. And for me, it started with the way I was eating. Because I changed the way I was eating, and I saved my life. In 13 months of eating whole food, giving up all the garbage that I was used to eating, I saved my life. And I owe it to John Robbins. And through that, I became obsessed with understanding our connection with food. Because food ties into just about everything we do, right? You think about everything we do, it's because we fuel our body, right? If you fuel your body with good stuff, good things happen. If you eat McDonald's every day, good things don't happen, right? So, we have a bunch of options in life. What do we want to choose to put into our body, right? What are we choosing to put into our kids' bodies? Forget about our bodies, because I actually don't care what we put into our bodies. I'm more passionate about what we put into our kids' bodies, because the kids are not the future of this world. They're not the future of this world. They're the now. They're the ones that are going to make the change today so we can have a future. And if this is what we're putting into their body, how are they going to become change makers? What are they going to do with their lives if we poison them? Because this is what's happening. This is what we are doing as a society. This is what we've decided to do and vote with our dollars, is to put this kind of food into our bodies and our children's bodies. This is what they put into their bodies at school. This is what parents are sending their kids to school with. How is it affecting their life? How are we affecting their life without asking them their permission? Without even giving them a choice of what they can eat, what they can eat? Because innately, kids would never eat this stuff. If you put a child in a room with a rabbit and a piece of fruit, and if that child ate the rabbit and played with the fruit, I'd eat my shorts. Because it would never, ever happen. Kids innately know the difference between what is food and what is not food. This is what we put into our body every single day. I don't even know what this stuff is. And I teach this at the college. I still have no idea what this is. Right? This is an ingredient list for one single food. It's called a strawberry milkshake. I don't see strawberries anywhere here. I don't see milkshake anywhere here. So every fast food restaurant, this is what they serve people. They add water to it because it lasts forever. And we're not even questioning what the industry is doing. we're not even asking the questions of what is going into my body. This is it. So we need to think differently. We need to start getting out of our boxes, getting out of the paradigm of what we've been taught about food. Because what we've been taught is not actually true. Right? Bread doesn't come off a tree. Fruit Loops do not grow out of the ground. This is the kind of stuff that's happening in the school system. Because Health Canada has decided that Fruit Loops is an acceptable food for kids. And that's what they're marketing in the schools. And we're allowing it to happen. We need to start thinking differently. We need to start understanding what is really important to us. And start putting our energy and our time and our focus into what is actually important to us. Because everywhere I go, every person I've ever spoken to, the same things are important to us. We all want our health. We all want happiness. We want peace. We want to live out of love and compassion. Nobody wants to destroy the world. Nobody wants to see climate change. Nobody wants to see species die off. We don't want any of this stuff. So the question then becomes, what are we doing? What are we actually doing to change the world? Okay? So our actions dictate that, right? And I've got just a few random things up here. One is just raising your heart rate. Like, start moving, right? We've become a sedentary society. As a species, we're designed to move. If you actually stop moving, you would die. Because we have a heart that sends blood to our entire body. Have you ever thought how that blood gets back to the heart? Right? You need to move. So we've got to start moving and moving more. Do yoga. I mean, yoga is one of the most amazing things in the world. It's the best form of exercise. There's so much science that tells us yoga connects us back to our bodies. We can actually control things like the flow of the blood in our bodies through yoga, through meditation. So connect to your breath, connect to yourself, understand what it is that your body's looking for. And golf. One of my